Welcome to the podcast. Today we have a very special guest, the legendary, the one, the only Dominican swag, Miami-based, homegrown, just an interesting guy. 57 Freddy is here with us today. And I have a few questions for him, none too crazy. Some are going to be a little crazy. All right. How you doing today?
I'm good, thank you.
I appreciate you coming. Good, I'm good. I appreciate you coming.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
So take me back. I know where you're at now. Take me all the way back. Where were you born?
I'm originally born in Bronx, New York. I was there till like about 13 years old. And then my parents separated. And then we ended up coming to Miami when I was like about 13.
How was that for you?
It was hard at first. New York is such a fast-paced city.
Concrete jungle.
So when I came here, it was really slow. We had space. In New York, you got thousands of people in one block. Here, it was totally different, so it was...
Did you like it?
In the beginning, I didn't like it. But then after being here for a while, I ended up going back to New York for a little bit. And I couldn't hack it in New York anymore. Yeah, I never liked it.
So then you came back to Miami.
And then I came back to Miami. Yeah.
So where does the love for cars begin?
The love for cars really started at a young age. My uncles, all those guys were all into motorcycles and dirt bikes.
But was that their living or was that their hobby?
Nah, it was their hobby. They were into motorcycles and dirt bikes and cars. My dad was heavy into cars. So I think it stems from that.
Okay. And where do you start? Where do you wake up one day and say, okay, schooling? Did you finish high school?
No, I dropped out in 9th grade.
How was that?
I knew I wasn't cut out for school. So at an early age, I knew I was going to take the hard road. So I dropped out of school. I got my GED and that was about it.
Looking back now, do you think you still had that confidence of like, I'm going to be 57 Freddy? Like,
yeah.
The swag was always there.
Yeah. It was always.
You didn't know how,
there.
but
yeah, I'm gonna figure it out somewhere or another.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you drop out of school, you start
working.
Cars,
I start working at a young age. I had like a part-time job when I was like 14. And
what was your part-time job?
I was a delivery driver for a clothing company.
How'd you like that?
It was all right. I was used to it because my parents were in the garment industry back when they were together. So I was always raised around that. So it wasn't hard, and I was just doing deliveries and stuff. Yeah. So it wasn't nothing too crazy.
And then you drop out of school. Where do you start cars?
My grandma, since of course I was 14, 15 at the time, I didn't have credit like that. So my grandma got me she signed for me to get a Toyota Corolla. And that's how I started. I had I don't remember the year, but it was a Toyota Corolla. That's how I started. And I took the car to the back of my mom's house and pretty much took it all apart. And we had no clue what we were doing. It was just a bunch of friends in my mom's backyard just tearing stuff up. And
that car, what did you end up doing with it? Like, what did you?
I ended up breaking the car in half. Yeah, I put like hydraulics in it, and
that car couldn't take hydraulics?
It could, but not what I did to it. So I ended up breaking the car in half and ended up just junking the car.
Got you.
After a couple of years.
So then, when do you set up shop and you become Miami's guy to start doing cars? Because that's a really West Coast thing.
Yeah, it's a West Coast thing. I had a good friend at the time, and then we become business partners. So he was building this crazy car, and the car used to linger from shop to shop, and it just wasn't progressing. He was just spending obscene amount of money, but the car was just not pushing forward. So one day I told him, I was like, yo, bro, at this point, we don't have nothing to lose. Let me just play with it. So we were dealing with a shop at that time called Red's Hydraulics.
Mhm.
They're here in Miami. So they had the car like in a little warehouse of their building. So I measled my way in there and I ended up renting that little portion of their shop. So we split the rent amongst friends and we would just used to work on our cars there. And the car ended up being a trendsetter at that time. You know, what that car did at that time was unheard of. And that's how pretty much it all started.
So did you guys name that car too?
Yeah, I named that car, yeah.
Can I ask you, why do people name cars in the car culture?
It's an extension of them, you know, the person. So people tend to nickname their cars. Just, you know,
It's just a culture.
it's just a cultural thing.
And people paint them. Is that like a normal also
Yeah, they
thing?
paint them. They do all kind of, you know, depending on what you're in. If you're into the lowriders, you know, they have their own way of doing things. If you're into the dunk culture, you're into the hot rod culture.
Does each culture depend on where you live or kind of where you grew up?
No, it doesn't.
No.
It's just what you're into. I'm into everything. I
Everything.
like hot rods. I like the dunk culture. I like, you know, the 80s and 90s BBS stuff. Low riders, of course. I'm into the foreign stuff. So I move through everything. But there's guys that are specific.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. So when you start off there and you have this little place, how does that become like, how do you start getting people? You're at the flea market.
No, in
How
the
do you
in
get
the
the
beginning,
buzz?
it was just fun. It was just supposed to finish 2 or 3 cars for us, and that was it. That was like the main goal, was just finish these 2 or 3 cars,
Oh.
and we were done. I had a buddy of mine, a still good friend of mine to this day, Manny. He ends up buying a 64 Impala, and he was the first guy. He paid me to build his car. So we didn't know what we were doing. We didn't know how to charge it. So, but he was the first guy that actually paid us to build
Get
a
this
car.
done for me.
So it just started to trickle. You know, it was just a domino effect after that. We started just picking up more clients and more clients and more clients.
And at that point, what did you think was going to transpire in business? Did you think that far, or were you just hanging out with cars and having a good time?
No, I knew where I wanted to go with it. I already had a vision. I just didn't think it was going to go this far.
Really?
Yeah. We'll do a couple cars, you know, whatever, cool for a couple of the neighborhood guys. That's as far as I thought I was going to go. And then I started getting athletes and, you know, celebrity figures and stuff like that. And it just started to evolve, you know. Then I had to put some thought into it.
So you do the celebrity cars, all that's going good. There's no hiccups in your life up until this point.
No, it's a constant hiccup, you know.
In business,
Yeah.
Tell me, what's your biggest hiccup?
You know, when you're dealing with these celebrities, the finances are different, you know.
How so?
For us, $100,000 is a lot of money to put into a car. But for these, you know, these guys that are in that position, $100,000 for them is a weekend out. So they automatically think you have that kind of money to put into their cars when you really don't. You're living, you know, day to day trying to make it. So you also don't want to show them that you don't have the money to work on their car. So it's just a constant battle trying to live up to the image and then keep up with the bills and everything that comes along with running a business.
And how did you manage to do that?
I just had to figure it out. It was, you know, every day was just a different.
The swag was.
Every day was just a different obstacle that we had to, you know, overcome until, you know, eventually we start getting ahead.
Was it easy to have employees that work at shops?
No, it's horrible.
Why?
First of all, they don't, you know, everybody has their way of doing things. So, and nobody understands your vision either. You know, you're the only one that sees your vision. So you try to explain to the guys, yo, this is what we're trying to do. This is what we're trying to do. But they're off in their own world. You know, as soon as I would leave the shop, they're on the phone. Oh, they got baby mama drama. There's always something going on that affects the workspace.
Absolutely.
So, you know, it's a balance. You got to balance it out.
What would you say is the balance when you were running it at that point before? Take me back to your late 20s, early 30s.
Just just dealing with attitudes, dealing with attitudes, getting these guys to commit and focus, focus on what they need to do. They also see that sometimes I'm not there or they think I'm goofing off. I'm like, no, bro, I'm here networking over here, so I need you guys to take care of this. But those guys,
it's hard to
it's
understand.
hard. It's really hard.
It's hard for sure. So you're there, you're doing the cars, you have an incident. Is that safe to say by then?
Well, let's
go back.
Yeah, we could go back a little bit. I ended up, I had a partner at that time. We ended up parting ways.
Why'd you part ways?
We just wasn't on the same page anymore.
Was it hard to have partnerships in business?
Yes, it's very hard. If you could do it on your own, I strongly recommend, from my experience, to do it alone. Because you have total control.
Considering you have one of the biggest partnerships right now, and you have an amazing, I'm just going there. Yeah. Well, I'm serious. No. Like, what's the difference? Are you the difference? Because you've had those bad experiences?
Now I'm older, so I understand certain things a little bit better. Back then I was younger and more stubborn and a little bit more hard-headed. But it was more, like the friendship, we lost the friendship, over business, and we created something great. At that time, it was something huge. So for it to fall apart, it's kind of sad.
Absolutely. Well, it's like a death in the family.
Correct.
Right.
And you venture off and you continue living your life. But for the most part, I feel like if you could do it on your own,
do it.
I think it's best to do it on your own until you position yourself in a space where you're comfortable enough where you can partner up with people and it doesn't affect
everything else.
Mm-hmm. But when you're coming up, it's hard. You're struggling with money. I used to sleep in my shop.
Tell me about sleeping in your shop, because I've heard you say that. Take me there.
Yeah.
How's 57 Freddy sleeping at his shop? Like, what takes you there? You don't got money.
Yeah.
You're just trying to get these cars.
Yeah. It's just, you got to make sacrifices, I guess, so I figured those extra $1,800, $2,000 that I was spending a month in rent at that time, I could have just used that for the shop. Mm-hmm. So I sacrificed. How
long did that go on for?
Like a year and a half.
Wow.
Like a year and a half.
So you believed in your craft the whole time?
Yeah, I made like a room. I built some walls at the shop, closed it off and made a bedroom out of it.
And when women would meet you?
At that time, I wasn't really dating like that. So I was
you lived at the shop? Because you had nothing to offer kind of thing?
Yeah, I had nothing to offer, so I just had to focus on what was important for a while. So the dating stuff, I was just kind of like...
You put that on ice?
Yeah, I put that on ice for a while.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
What was the hardest part about knowing I got to believe in my craft? Because you're a craftsman.
It's not hard when you know that... It's not hard when you know what you're able to do.
But only you know that.
Yeah,
Was
correct.
anybody else next to you going, you're going to be awesome, this is going to be great?
No.
Nobody?
No.
Were people offering you, like, get a job somewhere? Like, Mira, they're offering a job here and...
Not really, but my friends were, they knew that we had something, but of course, they're not going to help you with it. They'll be around. They'll show up to the car shows. They'll show up for the fun stuff. But when it's time to put in the work, like, none of them were around.
So you thought, okay. Miami's a really diverse city. Miami's really diverse.
Yeah.
And I always feel like when people leave here, the people from here are not as loyal, I would say, to any cause. It doesn't have to be car. It could be cigars. It could be
anything.
Your backyard should be your anchor. And I find it always ends up being the nosebleed section fans.
I had that conversation with Ross, and Ross told me one time, he was like, yo, on the path that you're on, you're going to have to go outside of Miami to find success, and then you double back and come back home. And I was like, no, you're crazy. Like, you're crazy. And that's
crazy, because you were like, no, I'm not leaving my city.
Yeah, I'm not leaving my city. I'm going to make it here. I'm going to prove that I can do it here. And granted, he was right. I ended up going to Atlanta and created something big in Atlanta.
How's the love in Atlanta for you?
It's different over there. They treat me like I go to the gas stations and people come up, hey, could I take a picture? Or you're such and such. I cross through the airports and people stop me, like for autographs and stuff like that. In Miami, that doesn't happen.
Even if they know.
Yeah, even if they know, they like, all right, forget them. But that's how Miami is. But in Atlanta, I get a lot of love,
Did your mom have a lot of like hope? Was she like, hey, you're going to be okay? Or was she like, hey, I want you to kind of go do something else? Because when you're at the shop, right, I'm thinking to myself, what does that look like from the adults around you at the time?
She was supportive, but your mom is always
your warrior.
Yeah, so I'll think about this. Well, think about that. Maybe you should go, take the safer route.
How did that not distract you?
It never did. It just
you never sat and said, you know what, maybe they're right, or you were like, no, I'm right.
No, I'm going, yeah. We got to make this work. This is, and I'm ego driven. So I'm more like, I want to go against the grain. I want to prove people wrong. Ego-driven. Yeah, I'm ego driven.
Are you?
Like if people tell me no, or he can't pull this off, or he can't do that, or that just pushes me more to do it.
And you think that's ego, not confidence?
And that point is more ego. I'm already confident. So it's just more ego. Like, let me just stick this one in your rib cage real quick. Yeah.
That's so wrong.
Yeah.
I got you though. So you're there, you're going to make it happen whichever way, but you're sleeping in your actual shop.
Yeah. I was sleeping in my shop for like about a year and a half. Things start turning around. Then stuff starts to start going back to normal.
And once stuff starts going back to normal, your vision is still, I'm going to do some really good cars. I'm going to keep doing these car shows, keep getting the notoriety.
Yeah. Once I separated from my partner, I had like full control of how I wanted things to go. So I would go to like music video sets. I would meet the directors and the producers from video sets. I'll even try to meet the rappers, whatever, and I'll try to get my cars in the videos.
Because at the time you had cars that they were yours.
Correct.
You wanted them in the video so people would see
them?
Yeah,
so I can network with, Were
you always into networking? Because what I know about you, you were always into networking. I
was always out. So I don't know if you consider it networking.
Well, some people are out to just mooch off the next man.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We're in Miami. That's a very Miami thing. Right. That's right. Or you're positioning yourself to make sure that you're the man in your respective field. Yeah.
At that time, we was out because we were just out to have fun. And then I started to understand the more I was going out, and I started to study other people and how they were moving. Then I just started emulating what they were doing. So every time I go out to an event, it was just more to network and get closer to whatever person I was trying to get close to.
Interesting. And then how do you get from there? You're cruising by the whole time. You're making it, fixing cars, going to these shows. Is there anything else that changes all those years?
Of course, the restoration business is a very slow business.
How long does it take?
There's cars. I've had a car that took me 5 years to build.
What?
So,
why? Because getting the parts is hard.
It's just time consuming. The details on those cars, it's just too much. And then the people that you have to deal with to do certain stuff, you got to work on their schedule. Because
you subcontract all the little things that have to be done to the car?
Like paint, I don't paint. I'm not good at electrical. I don't do interiors. I don't do music.
But you would be good at feeding the rest of the city.
Correct.
Little things,
yeah.
Right?
So I was very good at putting people in place to make things happen. So, and then I've realized that if you have a bigger team, you can do more.
Absolutely.
So I started to figure that out. And then, of course, I didn't have the money to network like the bigger shops. So what I would do was I would go to the bigger shops and offer my services as the part of the restoration part of it. Listen, you guys are doing Ferraris, Lamborghinis, all that other stuff, but that same client has an old school.
Or wants one.
For
sure.
I'll give you 15% of my profit. And then they already had the clientele. All they had to do was just sell it. So I was getting a lot of work I was getting a lot of work from other shops.
Wow, that was really smart.
And
who gave you that kind of idea, or
just
you were like, I gotta eat?
Yeah, I just gotta eat. We gotta figure it out. You know, these guys already have these guys.
And considering you said earlier you have ego, you didn't have any ego to go to somebody else and be like, I need a hand. Tell me how I can help you and you help me.
Yeah, because I'm working for it anyways.
No, I know, but some people are very ego driven in the sense that they wouldn't even be able to do that.
No, yeah, I had no shame.
No shame.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna let my shop close. You know, I didn't want to be the shop that moved every year or every 2 years, was in a different place. I started in the same place that I ended. And that's very rare for any shop to say that.
In any industry.
Yeah. They
Absolutely.
move, they get kicked out, whatever the case is.
Absolutely.
I started in my same location, and the day I decided to close my shop, it was at the same address. Wow. And I was there for 23 years.
Wow.
23 years.
So tell me a little bit more about this car culture. Like, pretend I know nothing, because I don't.
The car culture is crazy. It's very competitive.
I don't know.
Well, I try to explain it to make it easy. I treat it like the music industry. You know how these rappers are competitive towards one another. Mm-hmm. They want to see who the bigger guy is, who the better rapper is, whatever.
So this is who's got the best car, who's got the best vert, who's got the best dong.
It's the same thing. You know, the same rules apply.
And is it more like the best guy worked on my car? I bought
also,
right?
Yeah. They brag about who built their car. Such and such touched it. This interior guy did my interior. So it's all about.
That's a flex.
Yeah, it's a bragging right. It's a bragging right. Yeah. And then the guys that do their stuff on their own, you know, they're proud to say that they're able to compete with the bigger guys, and they did it in their backyard, and they didn't have to spend
X amount of
money going to the bigger shops. So it's a flex all the way around. It's a flex.
So the car culture is a complete industry on its own.
Correct.
When you first started, was it?
Yeah, it was huge.
It is today?
Yeah, it's always been big. Now Miami is a little bit more on the scene. It's more competitive because guys are starting out to do the frame offs, and they're taking their time to pay attention.
Because from what I can remember, videos here, there was nobody else pulling up to videos other than you. Yeah,
it was very
now.
Yeah, very small at the time, but now the car culture is they're just everywhere.
Is it normal for people to worry about painting it, naming their cars? Like, that's all part of the culture?
Yeah.
Tell me what else is part of the culture.
Racing.
They race.
That's huge. Yeah, the racing scene is huge. Every part of it is huge. They even have like crazy, you know, the guys that are into like the sound competitions, you know, that like loud music. Yeah. They have all that stuff, yeah.
Really? And how does one measure?
I'm not into the music stuff like that, but they have like their own little gidgy gadgets.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, so it's like a thing.
Yeah, it's a real thing.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeesh. Okay, I didn't know it was such a thing. Did you envision it being such a thing? Like, did you like it? Did you always go to like races and?
Yeah, I was in everything.
You liked it?
Yeah, I go to the races at night, you know, at Saga Bay back in the day. We would do that at night. In Okeechobee, the motorcycle races. I was everywhere.
You loved it.
Yeah, I was into everything.
Was there any other industry other than the one you're in that you've ever been in?
I was in the music industry for a while.
Were you?
Yes.
Tell me.
I hated it. I hated it.
Okay, tell me why. Tell me what you did and tell me why.
I had a buddy of ours that he had a recording studio here by Tamiami Airport.
Okay.
And one day he gives me a CD. So I put the thing in the car. I'm listening to the music. And he was like, "You like it?" I was like, "Yeah, it's catchy." And it was reggaeton music.
Because you're Dominican.
Yeah, but it was Puerto Rican reggaeton.
Mm-hmm.
So I was vibing with it. It's the first time I ever heard it. But it was super catchy. So he puts me on a flight and he sends me to Puerto Rico. And I meet this artist over there. I go out with the artist to a nightclub. And it was like the most craziest thing I've ever saw. The guy was like a star. He got on stage and he was
hood famous.
Bro, this guy was just amazing. Like his stage presence, his show was just crazy. So I come back and I tell my boys like, yo, bro, I did this, I did that. I went here, I went there. I went to all these clubs. And this guy is like insane. So he tells me that he wants to start a label. He wants to sign Puerto Rican artists and, whatever. And if I could help him. I did it for like about a year.
Why'd you do it?
Just to help him, to see if it'll take off. But that industry is very cutthroat. It's a lot of lies, a lot of shady stuff. And my temper for that is not a good one.
For that time that you
were. It's just, that wasn't my thing. But all these big artists that you see now in the reggaeton market, we had them when they were nobodies, 20 years ago, 15 years ago.
Well, it wasn't popular.
It wasn't popular like that at the time.
It wasn't what it is today.
I have in my safe, I have VHS videos of all these guys when they were like nobodies. And to see them all now where they're at today is insane.
So you're still in cars at that time and then you're like, let me dabble into music?
No, this was right before. I was into the cars.
Right.
Then I helped my buddy with the record label for a little while. And once I decided to part ways was when we took the shop serious. We're like, yo, we need to get these cars done. We need to get these cars done. And then we went transition into that. And I never looked back into the music industry until I crossed paths with Ross. You
never looked back.
No.
You just left it and was like, that's it.
Yeah, I'm done. Yeah.
Nothing. You didn't make any money off of it. It was a loss, and you were like, I gotta keep going.
It was a total loss.
How did you handle just walking away from something? Sometimes people they think it's their baby, and they're like, I want to stay. I want to see this do really good. It
wasn't mine anyways. It was just something that I was helping a buddy at the time, and if it took off, it took off. But it wasn't there. Our visions were totally different. At the end of the day, it was his money. I have no say, so we had to run it the way he wanted to run it. So I'll fall back from it.
You wanted to do your thing.
Yeah, I'll go over here and do what I got to do.
So then after that, you come back and you're like, I'm going to be dedicated to the cars. This is my passion. This is where I'm at.
Yeah.
What changes throughout that? What year is that? Like, where are we looking there?
Like 99, 2000.
20 years ago.
Yeah, 23 years ago.
And then you start with the cars there.
Yeah.
You continue that path. You stay in your shop around what time? Like, how many years were you in business when you slept in your shop for the year and a half? Like 2010, 2009?
I split with my partner in 2007. So like about 2009, I ended up moving into the shop. Like around, like 2009.
Got it. So from 2009 to about 2009 to now, there's a lot.
Yeah. A lot. A lot.
Take me back. Tell me tell me everything. I want to know like what makes you, because I already know you're exited, right? But like what makes you say to yourself, all right, I'm here.
After like 2009, 2010, my daughter was born. So, I had to kind of get it together.
Is that what makes you kind of slow it down and take things very serious?
No, I was already serious about it, but I couldn't be living at my shop. So I had to get my stuff together. Did that. I had a buddy of mine one day tells me, hey, Ross is asking about you. I will see Ross at the video shoots. Every time I'll see Ross, he was always at the video shoots, smoking, whatever. And he would always look at my cars. No matter what car I took to a video shoot, Ross will always distance himself and he'll just sit there looking at my cars, no matter what car I brought. And I was like, man, one day I'm going to do business with that man right there. One day I'm going to do business with him. We're going to make millions of dollars together. Cool. A buddy of mine hits me up. He's like, hey, man, Ross is checking for you. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm thinking Ross is going to call me tomorrow. I would say it was like 5 years later.
What?
It was like 5 years later, like a crazy,
so you continue your life, you keep doing cars.
Yeah. So man, this was like 2011 was when my boy tells me about that with Ross. Ross hits me up in 2015.
Holy wow.
In 2015, I pick up the phone one day and he was like, yo, I got something on the way for you. So sure enough, he sends me over his 57. And that's how it started.
So he sends you his car. How long does that car take to fix?
That car took me like 4 years.
What?
Well, my accident happens in the midst of all that. So
that was the first and only car that you had been working on with him?
That was the first one. Yeah.
Wow. But at that point, you've developed a relationship because it's 4 years, no?
Yeah, correct. He was, after I got that car, that was like the car that started it.
Mm-hmm.
But, Ross has tons of stuff. So every week I was getting, I need you to do this. I need you to do that. I need you to do this. So he was just constantly sending me stuff. But the main project was that 57.
What makes you his point person at that point? How thorough you are, your work ethic?
I always question, what is it that he sees in me? Mm-hmm. I don't know what is it that he sees in me. Whatever it is right at the end of the day. But I never figured out, like, why is it that we have the relationship that we have, And
do you consider yourself to have good work ethic?
Oh, absolutely.
Where does your work ethic come from?
My parents.
They were hard workers?
Yeah, extremely hard worker. My grandmother, both my grandmothers, my grandfathers, they were extremely hard workers. My whole family.
Nobody was out gallivanting and...
No, and even if they were hustlers in the street, they were good at what they did.
Right, they were working.
You know what I'm saying? So I guess I get that from them. And then Ross has kind of turned me into like a mini version of him. I study how he moves. I even study his sleep pattern. Like I gauge how even his sleep. Just by the phone calls when he calls at 2, 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning.
Ross calls you at 2, 3 in the morning?
Oh, yeah.
To say what?
We'll just shoot the shit, talk about cars. Whatever he feels like getting off his chest, we'll just sit there whatever time he calls. And not once have I ever not picked up his phone call.
Really?
Yeah. He'll call 4 or 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning, whatever it is.
So how do you guys establish that relationship? Because in the Hispanic culture, ego is really driven on, I got to be the man. It's only me and me only. You rarely see such a solid, loyal number two and proud to be number two.
I've always been a number two. I've always been the number two guy. When I had my partner at the shop, I was number two. I made sure that he was put on a pedestal. Like nobody could touch him.
You safeguard the kid.
Yeah, I made him look bigger than what it was. I made sure that he was who he was supposed to be.
And you have no problem with that?
No. When I was in the streets, the same thing. I knew my position. I knew what I had to do. I made sure that the boss was always, taken care of.
That's really rare in our culture.
Always.
You're aware that it's rare, right?
Yeah, it's very rare.
It is.
And I'm content with my space. I'm comfortable with my space. I never wanted to be the man. I was cool being next to the man. I was fine with that. Where does that come from? Where does that level of confidence come from? I don't know where it comes from. I just know that I was comfortable with it. I like to see all my boys. Yeah. Like I get excited when we pull up to a place and we all look the same. You can't tell who's who. Everybody looks the same. We all getting money together. We all have fly stuff together. Like that's like the goal. It kind of sucks if you're doing it by yourself because it breeds a lot of envy and it brings a lot of bad stuff.
I love BitBit pre-workout. Doesn't give me the jitters, gets me going for my workout, and keeps me going all the way to the end. I definitely recommend it.
Reach for BitBit.
How hard is it to keep the culture among employees, just people you work with?
It's not that hard.
Because you set the tone?
I think now, like, they understand. Before, I was very aggressive and bossy, I would say. But now, people understand, like, yo,
there's a reason.
Yeah, this is a reason. This is why he's in the position he's in. Because he's constantly networking and he puts people on. I have so many shops that I work with. I have a lot of shops that I work with.
Across the country?
Across the country. I work with a lot of shops.
But you were always working with them, right?
If I wasn't, I would start eventually building. But my goal was to always have cars, people doing stuff for me. You do this, you do that, you do this. And it works. You guys are getting paid. You guys are making money. Some of the guys will get upset because, of course, they feel like they're working for me. You're your own boss in your own right. Isn't the notoriety better that they did it as a team and there's so many good names on that team? Some people think like that. Not everybody. I look at
It's a mentality.
Yeah, I look at it like that. Some people want to even compete with you when you're even giving them the job. And I was like, that makes no sense. But
Interesting.
yeah,
So you built this friendship, right?
yes.
Where do you begin to say, I'm going to do this car show?
It was something that me and him would always talk about when we first started. Yo, we got
Because he has such a love for cars like you?
oh, he's
Obsessive.
yeah, and he has the finances to do it. So
He loves.
he's like 200 something cars.
Ross has 200 and something cars?
Yeah,
You're kidding.
between motorcycles and cars, over 200 cars.
So he's always into fixing a car, wanting to. That's an obsession.
He's always tinkering with something. It's always something, always something. With him, every day is a different story.
I fell in love with this 92 whatever, and I fell in love with this 65.
Yeah, take
Like
it
that.
here, get this. I want this done. I want this done to get this. I want to swap this motor. I'll do this. That's every day of my life for the last couple years. That's every day.
And you love it.
Yeah, it keeps me on point, It keeps me on point.
What do you mean by on point?
It keeps me sharp. So I have to continue studying, new parts. What's the new technology coming out? So it keeps me on point, We're older, so we kind of fall behind with the technology
Trends.
and the trends and everything. But him being such fast pace, I call you, hey man, I want to do this motor swap. Hey, they came out with this new computer. They got this new harness. So you already start teaching me new stuff that's coming out. And imagine I'm doing that.
So you would say how old are you?
I'm 46.
46 going on 30.
30.
32, right? Mentality. No, like not mentality for business. I'm talking about that you're still in the trend.
Yeah.
A 25-year-old or a 32-year-old might not school you as much, right?
Correct.
Do you think anybody can school you when it comes down to cars?
Oh, yeah. Of course. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I'm very knowledgeable, but there's historians in this. There's people that study parts. There's guys that can.
Really?
Yeah. There's a guy that I know that can tell you this microphone, and he'll tell you the part number from that off his head, and you can
Off of a car?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So there's guys that this is their crafts.
Yeah. There's
Studying.
guys that are historians. They're part collectors, rare part collectors.
Really?
Yeah, they know it. They know every option, every accessory, every little nook and cranny.
I would have never guessed
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it, but I'm like, it's so interesting.
It's the same thing. Like I said, like the music industry, guys that study, the industry, and they know this guy made a hit this day, or this record was sampled from this person. All that history stuff. There's guys in the car industry that are just like that when it comes to cars.
When you think of like what you've done, right? And I'll go back to that part. You do the first car show with Rick Ross. What did you think? Like, I know you thought it was going to be amazing, but what I got from everybody that I saw their videos of, it's one, that it became almost like a real festival, which a regular car show never feels like a festival. It feels like a car show. You go in, you see them, you get out. Might be a little bit more action in some booths, but that's it.
Correct.
There is no, what I saw was like almost like, it was like a festival, one, because of the food, and two, because I saw so many different types of people from all over this country that I was like, how do you get all those people there, no problems, and everybody to love what they're doing? Does that start from the top, I would assume?
Yeah, it was something that we preached from the beginning, so we wanted it to be like the car family reunion.
Mm-hmm.
The lowrider guys always tend to deal with the lowrider guys. The donk culture, just deals with the donk culture. And I think that the donk culture can learn so much from the lowriders.
And vice versa.
And then just, spread it out through every genre in the car industry. So what we wanted to do was mash all these people together and let them know each other. There's a lot of history in lowriding.
I thought one of the biggest things that I noticed was, beyond it being a festival and there was cars, I thought people should pay for networking. I was like, that's what you're paying for. You're paying because when am I going to go to Chicago and meet that guy? And when am I going to go to LA and meet that guy? Like, I was like, wow, Did you think it was going to turn into a networking event?
Yeah. That was the goal.
That was the goal?
Yeah, that was the goal. Mash all these people together, and the West Coast dudes and the dudes up north. Introduce them to like the Southern hospitality. How the Southerners treat people. Then get the dunk guys to understand the history, where lowriding comes from, the core essence of lowriding. Teach them that. Then, the LA guys understand, the hot rodders and how they think and how they do things, and get ideas,
Right.
because there's stuff that the hot rodders do that you can implement into a dunk. The racing stuff from the dunk culture, you can implement it into the lowriders. So you can kind of
Piggyback off everybody.
you can mash everything up together.
But everybody has to be able to communicate to do that.
Correct. And then do it in a setting where it's not that it feels forced. This setting here is just organic. It just feels right. When you're on that property, it just feels right.
What made him do it at his house?
It's just the perfect place. When we were talking about it, we have to do it at the house.
With the buffalo?
I want people to experience what I felt when he first invited me there. I remember the first time I went there, when he bought it, the house was a mess. I mean, I never thought that he can fix that house. I was like, bro, this guy's going to have to knock this thing down and start all over again. It was such in bad shape. And, but it was impressive. When I walked inside, I remember that people left and I was by myself. So I had to like sit still and listen to people talking. So then I can navigate through the house and find people, because you will get lost in the house.
Of how massive it is.
Yeah, the house. Yeah. You would just get lost.
Wow.
So I wanted people
that experience.
Yeah, I wanted people to feel that. And it's also motivation. It motivates these guys, because it motivated me.
Did it?
Yo, man. I know that a guy that comes from where I come from was able to do this, then
Sky's the limit.
we can do it too. Maybe not do it at that scale, but definitely gives you the motivation to go even harder. So I felt like people needed to feel this.
Amazing. That's amazing. No, that's really nice that you wanted to show everybody that.
And he let it happen.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
That's the other thing, because one thing is me saying it and we could sit there and talk about it, but another thing is, him saying, you know what, bro, let's just do it.
Had you ever done an event before?
No, I never.
I was gonna ask you that, because
Never.
that's an event.
Yeah, never. I've never.
So you just said, we're gonna do it here, and I got you all the way, and
Yeah,
we're gonna figure it out as we go.
It was January 28th of 22. That was his birthday last year. We were at dinner, and a buddy of ours from Atlanta had a phone out or a camera. I don't know what it was. And he asked us, Ross, yo, so what's up? When are we going to do that car show? We've been talking about this car show for a long time, whatever. And then he turns around and he tells me, yo, Freddy, so when are we going to do the car show? And I just blabbered out, we're going to do it in May. And it was on camera that I said, we're going to do it in May. So I felt like
Pressure.
that's it. It felt right. It came out right. The month came out right. It just fell in place. The next day I called a buddy of mine that does graphics and stuff. I was like, I need to make a flyer. So I made a flyer. Finally, when I got the flyer, I called Ross's sister and let me get his schedule for May and let's see what he's looking like. And he had the 21st of May free. Without even asking him, I put the flyer out.
Without even asking
yeah,
him.
like that's it.
And what does he say after that?
He called me early. It was like 6 something in the morning, and he was like, not cursing me out, but
Of course, yeah.
like, yo, what are you doing? How you just gonna do that without going through the, So I was like, yo, I already spoke to your sister. Everything's good. You're off that day. And he was like, so everything's cool. I don't have no bookings. I don't have to be nowhere. And I was like, nah, man, you good. Click. He hangs up the phone and then he posts the flyer. That's it.
That was it.
We didn't have a website. We didn't have, nothing. Nothing.
That's pretty much February. So February and May,
Yeah.
you do a huge event. Okay, so tell me, what does that look like? That whole...
It was crazy.
Why? Okay, tell
That
me.
year was-
Because a guy that's never done an event.
Yeah, that was nuts. We got a website, going really quick. When I ended up being there like the last 2 weeks of the show. But the last 4 days, I never slept.
Oh my God.
I would run upstairs to the room. I would it was so hot that I would just run upstairs to the room, just get in the shower just to like get that heat off my body and change my clothes. And I would just run back downstairs and just keep going. I was there all night, bringing cars in. I did everything last year.
Really?
I was security. I was event programmer. I was the police. I did.
You were like, I did it all.
Yeah, I did everything. I parked cars.
And let me ask you, when you look at such a grand scale event, you didn't think to yourself, like, maybe I should hire a project manager to help me with this that would have more experience?
We just winged it. I think last year winging it was what made it so great, because it was
organic.
Love. Yeah,
right,
it was just
for
organic.
the love of it.
Yeah, let's just see what happens. And it turned out great. This year, he definitely got a production team. We did it right this year.
Well, the first year wasn't done wrong. Look how many people you got the second year.
Well, it was,
It was trial and error, I'm sure.
Yeah, we had problems with the neighbors. It was just a lot. We were understaffed. We were extremely understaffed last year. So we didn't think it was going to be that big. But this year we were prepared.
What was the difference between year one and year two?
I say organization was like a major difference. I slept every night that I was up there before the show this year.
You stay at Ross's house when you go?
Yeah. He
that's
lets me stay there.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Do you consider what you've done rare?
It's never been done.
Right. But how rare? Like when you look at it, because when I look at you and I think of Bowtie South and I think of Miami and then I think of that, I think they're like two different people. Do you feel the same?
Yeah.
Because you became a different person.
Yeah.
Right? Like a lot of people don't really evolve, right? Their career doesn't take them to evolve. Some people are stuck in a character for the rest of their life.
They stay stagnant.
They do.
Yeah.
And they're okay with it, right? Because they're complacent and that's okay too. But you're a different person.
Yeah. Yeah. Even when we started doing the frame off stuff, it wasn't that big at the time. It was more like a lowrider thing, and the East Coast was very few guys that was really doing it at that level, and we were one of them. And then I transitioned applying that into the dunk culture. So I was the first guy. Our shop was the first shop to really do a dunk frame off.
What's a dunk frame off? If you can tell me.
Dunk is it's a 71, technically 71 to 75, but it could fall to a 76 big body Chevy, Caprices and Impalas. So back then, it was just the regular candy paint jobs, the interior, some music, and you're good to go. I was the first one to do a full restoration, lift it off the frame, modify tons of stuff.
Everything.
Yeah. We were upgrading rear ends,
What made you do that? Like the love of the car?
I just felt it was time to do it. You
wanted that same model, but updated.
Correct. So we needed to, up it a little bit. Everything else was already done. The next step was snatching these cars off the frame. That was the next step. And we were the first shop. Bowtie South was the first shop to do that.
So you've always been a trendsetter.
Yeah. So we started that, and then, it created a lot of jobs. There's a lot of shops open today and feeding their families off what was done back then at Bowtie. So
do you feel you get enough recognition for everything you've done?
No.
Even now?
No.
I definitely think you're a legend in Miami.
I
hope I give you your flowers. I definitely think you're a huge legend. I think what you've done is pretty amazing.
Thank you.
Just for the culture too, for people to look at you and say, I could do that too.
Oh, yeah.
There's guys running shops that have a whole different dream.
Yeah.
That I think is beautiful to be like, because when I was growing up, the car thing is just not a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it was, but not as big as it is today. And I think you definitely, without a doubt, have sparked that.
I feel like I've definitely,
You moved the needle all the way.
Yeah.
And I think you've played such a good position that I think it's made other people rethink. There's tons of guys that really operate off who they think they need to be versus where their life could lead them to be.
Correct.
I think you've definitely positioned yourself where it's like meritable.
Yeah.
So I hope you definitely know Dade County legend.
Thank you.
Anytime. Seriously. I
Thank
think
you.
it's pretty different, So take me back to, you do the second event. It's amazing. You're coming off that, right? Because you just,
Yeah, we just it was
ended it.
last week.
yeah. So tell me, what's the difference between event 1, event 2?
Like I said, the organization was major key. We had a performance this year. Last year, we didn't have a performance. So the performance was great.
Last year you gave out keys as well?
Yes.
And last year you gave it out to different cities?
Yes.
Is that still this year? Did you do the same thing?
Yes.
Was it major to go by city almost?
No, it doesn't go by city. It goes by the car. So
By the type of car? Like
the
if it's a
winners.
vert or
By the winners.
Okay.
So we have a best of show category. It's the best car on the property. Then we have a best hot rod. We have a best dong, best truck, best bike. And then we also have a hustler of the year. Hustler of the year is a standout individual that, has been in the game for a long time, has been consistent. He's been a real hustler, a trendsetter. And
hustler.
yeah, he's just an overall hustler, gets to the money. He, his presence, it's he
He's
has
known.
So we gave it out last year, and then this year we gave it out again.
How do you up these 2 events for next year? How do you keep upping it? Because you upped it this year by having the performance, and you guys had Meek Mill there, which I think was incredible.
Yeah.
How did that come about? Where's that conversation?
Well, Meek is signed, to Maybach Music, to Ross's music label. So
It was only fair.
it was just, that's amongst them. Ross just makes a call and that gets done. But it was great to see those 2 guys together. I love seeing them together. I love the music they create. So for me to see them together back again, it was, to me, it was pretty dope.
Well, and the cars and the food and that it's an all-day thing. I was like,
Yeah.
man, you guys really became like a festival.
Yeah, it's a
Like it's a
festival.
thing.
Yeah, it's a festival. We had a rodeo. We had like the bull riding thing.
You're kidding.
Yeah, it was pretty dope.
So you made it for everybody. Kids also went.
Yeah, kids went. Yeah, it's a kids show.
That's impressive.
Major networking event. All the major players in the car industry, like Chicago. We had dudes from Denver. We had Northern California. San Francisco. All the the upper parts of California. We had the LA. I mean, we had everywhere. North Carolina, South Carolina guys were there. We had a dude from Canada came down. We had a guy from Hawaii come down.
And ship their cars?
Yes, he put his car on a container, shipped it to California, and then from California transported it to the house, and then vice versa, and then take it back home.
Impressive.
Yeah,
Impressive.
and that's expensive,
Absolutely.
and very expensive, and he did it. And
I must have loved it.
And I had a guy from Canada drive down, so it was pretty cool.
Yeah, no, amazing.
You don't get that. I've been doing shows for a long time. I've been going to a lot of shows, and I've never, me even being a fan of it,
Mhm.
I've never seen nothing like the Rick Ross Car Show.
No.
Never.
Oh.
And not saying because I'm part of it
No.
or something to do with
no.
it. I just never seen nothing like that.
Well, I think that car culture has stayed among its cities. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's a very, I don't want to say it's small, right? Because I want to be respectful, but it's just, if you do it in Miami, it's Miami. Maybe some Atlanta people will come, but it's not the whole US ever.
No.
You know what I mean?
No. Everybody
Usually-
stays in their region.
Everybody stay, right. That's it. That's where we're at.
Yeah.
These are the only cars we see. We don't see anybody else. And if we do, it's on IG.
Correct.
So I thought it was really I think on top of the fact that it's a network event, it just shows you, it's like when you start traveling.
Yeah.
If I could tell you such and such place is beautiful, but when you got to get on that plane and you got to get down and you don't speak the language and you have that, You know, you're like, oh my God, I love these people. I don't know what the hell they just said, but I love them,
But I
right?
love 'em, yeah.
So it's like, I thought that the same as the Rick Ross car show.
Yeah,
I
like
thought
the
it was that
the West Coast
experience.
guys, they're a little different.
I almost think it should be called like the Rick Ross car show experience because it's an experience.
Yeah, it's an experience.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's an experience.
Yeah.
And when you sell something, I feel, right, because business is business, but when you sell something, you're selling an experience. That's
Yeah.
what business is all about.
Correct.
You could fix a car and a guy could fix a car. You could be the best at it. You could fix the exact same thing. It's whatever experience you're going to give that guy.
Correct.
You know, it's whatever customer service, whatever, you know, some people work on Porsches and they're like, I hate Porsches.
Yeah.
I'm not going to ever want to do business with you.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's interesting. Going forward, what do you do now? Like-
Now we're trying to, get ready for the next one, of course. July 2nd, we have the Rick Ross pool party at the house. So we're going to do that and then start getting ready for the next one.
Why do you do a pool party?
He was already doing them back a couple years back. And just one year he didn't do it. And it just kind of like trickled into not doing it. And now, since he has the right team, I guess,
Absolutely.
in place, now he feels comfortable enough to where he can start doing these events again at the house.
And a pool party just means people are going literally just to be in the pool and
Pool
have
party.
a good time.
Yeah, just a big boy pool party, July 2nd.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
What do people pay to get in there?
I don't know yet. I haven't really figured that part out yet, but definitely going to be, the website should be up soon and you can purchase your tickets.
So let me go back. You did have a lot of heat as far as you had a DJ that was kind of like not a big fan of the show the second year. And I wanted to ask you something in respective to that. He had said that Ross, at the price that he was charging, wasn't being respective to his community. And I want your exact take on that.
I don't know really why he said that. What kind of got to me was him saying that he does stuff for the community and he didn't feel comfortable. He couldn't sleep at night knowing that he charged somebody X amount of dollars to go to an event. And I kind of felt that was kind of like childish.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of pulled his card and you're not doing this for free. You do the same exact thing that we do. You just you're just not able to pull it off the way that we pull it off. But at the end of the day, you're not doing it for the community. You're doing this to make money just like the rest of us are doing.
Right. There's sponsorship, there's tickets, there's the exact same thing.
You're doing the same thing we're doing. You're probably maybe upset because you don't make the kind of money that the Rick Ross car show makes.
Well, because he's been doing it for so many years and has never unveiled it that way.
Correct.
Absolutely.
But he's not, to me, he's not core car culture. He's the type of guy that'll go buy a Ferrari and drive it. I'm the type of guy that I'll go buy a Ferrari and I'm going to rip the whole bumpers off of it. I'm going to take the wheels off of it. I'm going to modify the suspension on a Ferrari. He's not that type of person. So you're not core.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You're not in the culture.
Yeah, you're not.
Well, you definitely are the car
Yeah, you're
culture.
not that kind of person. You're not, you don't know about these old school cars. You think you know, but you really don't know. Even the people that he does business with, goes to show you that he doesn't really know what he's doing. But granted, you can have your event. I support his event. I've gone to all his events. Every time he does them in Miami, Atlanta, I make sure I take Ross's cars there. I support his event. So I really don't know where his attitude change came from. But it is what it is,
Word on the streets was that it was a lot of marketing. So I wanted to ask you that.
It started off as marketing. But somewhere down the line, it did go left. And he touched, he did some things that I personally wasn't cool with. And you just gave Ross the opportunity to do what Ross does. So he opened the doors for that. So I guess when he seen that he wasn't winning, now it's, he went the route that he went. But you got to know how to pick your battles.
For sure. You have to know who your people are, for sure.
Yeah.
So what's in the future for this friendship that you've developed, this business? Because you have all these
brands.
Yes, you have all these brands. Tell me what this is.
Well, we have the slippery soap deal with Rick Ross. We're planning on getting this in Walmart, all the, AutoZones, O'Reilly, stuff like that.
Is that to wash the car?
This is a spray wax, actually. This is like a ceramic spray wax. So you just spray this on your car and you could wipe it down. It's like an instant. Like,
it doesn't need water.
It doesn't need water. It's just, an instant.
Spray it,
spray, wipe it down. It's just an instant shine. But we're trying to get this in Walmart. You're going to see this in Walmart soon. AutoZone, O'Reilly's.
What made you guys do that?
It's just right. It fell into place. Jeremy, he's the brains behind this product, and he's just a super cool dude, super humble. He's just a great guy overall.
And car guys usually tend to wash their car.
Oh yeah. We
every day.
Yeah, we do that. So it just kind of worked out. It just fell into place at the right time. And then
is that the only flavor it has, cherry, or is there other ones?
No, it's different. He has the tire shine. He's coming out with the tire shine. It's a bunch of stuff. We have the
products.
The soap, to wash. We have everything coming out. We have the.
Did that just launch now?
Yes.
The second.
Yeah,
okay.
We brought this out for the car show. It's doing great on internet sales. Just check out Slippery Soap.
SlipperySoap.com?
Yes. And then we're trying to, venture off into like film, documentaries.
What are you trying to do with film?
Maybe do a story about me, maybe in the car world and transitioning into the car show, and then kind of branching it off to, guys that I think deserve a chance to get recognition.
Tell me about that. I love that you still look at the guys that are after you, not necessarily that they haven't been to where you've been to now, right? But they have your experience. You kind of know, like, they deserve a lot of shine.
There's a lot of talented guys out there.
For sure. But I wouldn't know them.
Yeah.
But if there's a documentary of somebody, you know what I mean?
Correct. If you could hear these guys' stories or
Absolutely.
see their work on a bigger platform, why not? So we're working on doing some edits right now to get it going, and
That's huge.
See if we can land a deal, maybe on Netflix or something like that.
And what you would take for different guys from
different cities,
different
everybody
regions.
that I think is talented enough, that has what it takes, maybe the drive, whatever talent I see in these guys.
Because you've been working with these guys 20 plus years.
Oh yeah. Even people that I don't physically know, but I know of their talents and I know what they do. I know everything. I know every shop. I know what every shop does. I know everything, even if I personally don't know them. Like, I study this. I really study. I study this. Who built what car? Who did the chrome work on this car? Who did the gold plating here? Why is this gold different than this one? I know everything. So if I find somebody that's talented enough and it does go through, maybe give them their 10 minutes, 5 minutes of fame, I guess you would say.
Yeah, no, I think stories is really important.
And if they can make something out of it on their own, then hey, we gave you the start.
Right. You like that because what does that do for you internally?
It just, to me, it grows the culture bigger and bigger and bigger. There's no reason for you to hold it for yourself. You can only get to so many people. You can only build so many cars.
Yeah.
You can't take care of everybody. So why not just lay it out and let everybody get a piece of it?
For sure. No, beautiful.
Everybody should get a piece of it.
For sure.
If they're worthy for it, if they're worthy of it.
Do you think that throughout your life, you would have liked somebody to mentor you, kind of like you kind of mentor people now?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I would have not made a lot of the mistakes that I made.
So if you had a 25-year-old out there right now who's dying to work on X amount of cars, your advice would be get yourself a mentor that works in exactly that?
Correct.
Listen to everything he says. What would be
not
your
everything?
advice?
Use common sense.
Right.
Use your common sense. But if something sounds right and it looks right, then I think you should follow it. If I tell you something, I think I'm kind of a person that's you can tell that's been through a lot. Mm-hmm. A lot of ups and downs. So why not listen to some of the stuff that I have to say? Maybe some of the stuff I might say might not fit, but just grab the good stuff and go for it.
Yeah. And what is this?
That's Rapstar Energy Drink. That's Ross's new energy drink. And we're pushing that as well. trying to see.
Is it there different flavors?
Yeah, there's a bunch of different flavors.
So this is an energy drink, and this
Energy
is based on. Is this what you guys take all day, every day?
Yeah, pretty much.
barely sleep?
To barely sleep. That's what we.
And
that's
this is his regular.
And then this is the Bel Air. This is his. We push this every day as well.
I love that you go so hard for everything he does.
Of course.
That's a lot of love in that.
I got a cool boss.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So now I want to ask you your personal life because I just have to. All right, I'm going to ask you. You're 47, single.
Yes.
Why are you single?
I guess commitment issues.
Where does that come from?
I date a lot.
And you've seen a lot.
And I've seen a lot. I've dated a lot. I've done a lot. I've seen a lot. So.
Your experience is unmatched?
I think I have a cool, a cool story when it comes to women. Yeah.
What would be your advice for somebody who at 25 is like, dating's not for me? Like, I don't really, because you kind of married the life, right? Would you say it?
Yeah. I don't know what I would tell them, be honest with you, but to me, I've had a wild ride when it comes to women.
And no plans of settling down?
Not at the moment.
Interesting.
Not at the moment.
Interesting. I had to ask you.
Yeah.
Figured it was the right thing to do.
I'm willing to date though, couple dinners here and there.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Is that like the known thing? Because you're a Miami guy. So it's like you take a woman out, you date them, but there's no longevity. There's no real roots with that person.
Not nowadays. The women nowadays, they move so fast that.
But you don't believe in like soul ties? Like, man, I'm going to be with 3 different women and the energy that these women give. Like, you'd want to be tied up with all that? Or is that kind of like nature for you already?
Yeah, I'm already used to it. Like my guys know, like they know how I move. Mm-hmm. Like they know how I move.
Tell me what that means.
They know how I move with the women. I don't know, just
on to the next one.
Yeah. You decide how this is gonna go.
But I'm sure you've had women that are like, listen, I want you to take this serious. What happens to those women?
Oh no, yeah, then
it's on a rotation.
Yeah, now they gotta go. Yeah.
They got off the roster.
Yeah, they get off the roster. They gotta go.
Interesting.
Go. Yeah.
So no more kids.
No.
You have one daughter.
I have a daughter. Yeah.
How's that experience been?
It's great. I'm a girl guy anyways.
Really?
Yeah. So
well, how do you know that?
My dogs, the girls, my daughter, I'm something with having girls. So I'm like I'm a good dad when it comes to,
girls.
Yeah. I have a thing for them.
Okay.
But I don't want to have more kids like that that I don't have them living with me or raising them like that. I raised my daughter, but we split custody. So it's, I don't spend as much time as I'm supposed to, and I would like to.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally get that.
So to have another kid like that, or another baby mama.
You do know that at that point you'd have to keep one on the roster only. You get that, right? I don't have to school you on that.
I think we can make arrangements.
Are you crazy?
Yeah, make some type of arrangement.
No way, Freddy. Come on now.
You can live at the house.
No,
we live together.
No. Then hey, I hope you find that. No. Why would a woman that's a good woman want that for herself? Would you want that for your daughter? Hell no.
No, but
right. So you want what you would never want for her.
Of course. Of course.
Okay, fair.
But for right now, I'm just enjoying, just
all the last 27 years. What has that been?
No, I still got a couple more left.
Wow.
I got a couple more years left.
That's good. No,
yeah,
hey,
yeah.
That's good. That's interesting.
The DMs, the DMs they be popping.
Has your DMs been really popping?
Always, though.
Always.
Yeah.
When you say DMs, like how many DMs do you get a week from women?
Oh, I don't know. There's thousands that I don't even check. The ones that you don't check.
Yeah.
We
You
can
don't
just,
check them.
I go through them and I see them, but if they're not my type, I'll just leave it there.
So if they're your type, you open 'em.
Oh yeah, of course. If they're my
That's
type,
interesting.
I'll
What is your
engage.
type?
I like sex, like I like thick women,
Mhm.
big butts, big thighs, big boobs. I don't
And
care.
it doesn't matter if it's fake.
Mm-mm.
All is
Yeah.
fair game.
Ideal fit women, not fit women.
No discrimina.
Yeah.
There's
black
no discrimination.
Hair, blonde. Yeah.
You don't discriminate at all.
Nah, no discrimination.
It's been interesting.
Yeah.
We're gonna do this interview again in like 2 years.
Yeah, and see.
Yeah, I gotta see what happens in 2 years. I gotta see if the legend is gonna continue the legendary lifestyle, or if he takes a curve. You never know.
Yeah, you never know.
You never know.
Yeah, you never know.
Well, you were awesome.
Thank
You were
you.
awesome to interview. What can I tell you? I hope you feel like a legend in this city because you are.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Anytime.